Goosies galore, dude. That is goosies galore. It was goosies galore with some nerves at the end, but you got away with it. You got yourself a victory, and the Dolphins improve to 6-3 on the season with a win over the Chicago Bears, 35-32. And really just you definitely got nervous by the end there in a fourth quarter. This offense was humming for the first three quarters. The Dolphins, I mean, they were marching down. They could not be stopped. We had ourselves a shootout. It was shootout city between two teams here. Justin Fields, we talked about this going in. Like, this dude definitely felt like he was starting to find some things, especially with running the football. Did not see it to be to the tune of 178 yards rushing, a record day for Justin Fields, but a record day and a loss nonetheless. And yes, I understand the Chicago fans upset because Claypool didn't get the pass interference call. You know, Dolphins got a couple going their way, but too bad how sad, huh? That's the way the cookie crumbles. So the Dolphins get themselves a 35-32 win. Tua Tagovailoa with another big day, especially the first three quarters of this game. 21 of 30 for 302 yards, 3 touchdowns for Uno. And he and the receiving core of Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle just remains one of the most unstoppable things in the sport, as Tyreek Hill today, 7 catches, 143 yards for the Cheetah, and finally got himself in the end zone, did a backspring round-off, gymnastic styles. Jersey number matched the score for this judge, okay? That was a 10. It was a beautiful celebration. I loved Kevin Holland just going, flip it! I mean, that was absolutely tremendous. And Jalen Waddle, he also finds himself in the end zone with 5 catches, 85 yards today. And it was March of the Penguins for the Dolphins in the end zone. I mean, it was absolutely tremendous seeing everybody waddle together. And then they waddled away. I love the fact now that CBS hits the Duck song every single time. And if you guys haven't seen the entire story of the Duck song, an epic tale for the ages of a duck who continued to ask a man who ran a lemonade stand, got any grapes, and so much so that he plotted murder against the duck and planned on capturing him. And I don't know, who knows what his plans were after that. I mean, maybe it was just to not bother him anymore at his lemonade stand. That being said, they end up being friends. So it's a beautiful thing. Spoiler alert. But back to this game. Tua and those two receivers just remain so dynamic in everything that they're able to do. They feel like the most, just one of just one of the most unstoppable units together in the sport. And I think that's why Mike McDaniel goes about some of these drives the way they do. I know that Mike McDaniel is making a lot of people mental with some of his runs and some of these drives. I think at that end of that, you think about that drive at the end, which is, if this game ends up being a loss, people will be, crushing Tua for missing Jalen Waddle and saying that he underthrew him and all that. I get that. I know that's going to end up happening. But, you think about, he goes a couple runs up the middle with Mostert. And I think the reason is, he goes about this. This team does not fear 3rd and long. They don't. You give them 3rd and 8 to 3rd and 10 to whatever. They feel like they can get that whenever they want because they have this duo of receivers and a quarterback whose accuracy is just unbelievable. This is out by Stat Muse after the game. But Tua Tagovailoa over his last 2 games, he has thrown for 684 yards, 6 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and has been throwing that at a 76 completion percentage. When you have a quarterback who is producing like that, you're going to feel like there's no down and distance that we can't get with the weapons of Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. And in fact, I think probably one of the things that was shocking is if you go back a couple drives to where they turn it over on downs and he had the missed throw to Durham Smythe, the initial read was supposed to go to Tyreek Hill, and they actually covered him for once. And that was the thing that was crazy about it. I think they probably all thought about this and was like, oh, all right, we got 4th and 1. Easily, we give the ball to Tyreek Hill, no problem. And they actually covered him, so they have to go to Durham Smythe. And I don't know, Smythe didn't know what the hell was going on. Tua, had a bad throw on him as well. So, yeah, I mean, look, you're going to have the Tua haters who are going to come out here and people critiquing him. I think criticism is fair if you want to talk about the last couple drives. You want to say, hey, probably a little dicier than it needed to be. But all in all, if we're going to look back on this game and say, did Tua have a good game or a bad game? I mean, Tua had an amazing game. The offense had an amazing game throughout the day. The defense left a lot to be desired. I mean, Justin Fields absolutely carved them up. He could not be touched. It was so maddeningly frustrating to see that throughout the game today. And it did remind you a little bit of that Ravens game, but almost in a worse way because, when Lamar Jackson, the thing with the Ravens game is Lamar Jackson, he just had these insane chunk plays and these plays that would just gut you immediately. And then you kind of get the ball right back and you get to go do your thing. And, these were a lot of methodical drives by the Chicago Bears. And he was really just killing you on third downs. You just couldn't bring him down. They were 10 of 16 today on third down. Really, really frustrating. They rushed for 15. They rushed for first down on 15 play. Had 15 rushing first downs today. It was such a hassle to go and end drives for Chicago. And that, I think, was the really frustrating thing is we came into this season thinking that this Dolphins defense was going to be elite, that this was going to be, this was said by Mike McDaniel after the season. This is the defense's team. Remember when they came up with a win in week 1? They said, this is the defense's team until we do otherwise. I don't think that's the case anymore. This is the offense's team. The defense came up with the big stops where they needed to there at the end, and they've had a couple of games like that where they have been awful all game, but when you need them to come up with something, they did that. But for the most part, I mean, you're just looking week after week, and you're just like, geez, I mean, they don't feel like they can stop anybody. And it's kind of confusing because while they have suffered some injuries in the secondary for sure, not having Brandon Jones and not having Byron Jones, for the most part, the defensive front's all been there. You gave a lot of money to Emmanuel Ogbah. Jalen Phillips, I think we're all pleased with the development that he has. Melvin Ingram's in a better spot now with Bradley Chubb here because he can go make an impact in those spot places and not be relied upon for so many snaps. Von Ginkel, everybody feels like he flies to the ball. Maybe you feel the linebackers can, you could get a little bit more from them because, Landon Roberts, Jerome Baker, maybe they don't flash the way other LBs do. Everybody sings Javon Holland's praises to the high heavens. And you go and you get Bradley Chubb. And Bradley Chubb, he almost, that first sack was almost a real beaut. It really was. It was almost a real beauty today for the Dolphins' new pass rusher who they gave a whole heap of money to. But it is a confusing thing with Josh Boyer. And I do think that you wonder all of this going into the year, are they, does this get to the point? Nothing's going to happen this year, but like, if this Dolphins season falls short for some reason, are they going to go into another direction? Because it doesn't feel like you look at the names and some of the resumes, and you would feel like, man, this defense should be shutting people down. And instead, you're having guys go off for career days against them. And look, Justin Fields, maybe you could say the light bulb's starting to go off for him. It certainly looked that way the last couple of weeks that he was going towards this, but to have a record day. To give up a record day of QB rushing against the defense, no, that has to get fixed. That has to get fixed going forward if you're going to be serious about contending, if you're going to be talking about taking out certain teams in the playoffs. In this division, dude, it is stacked. The margin for error is not big. The Jets today going out and beating the Bills must have been super hot in New Jersey today. I mean, it must have been sweltering. I actually don't even know at the time. What is the East Rutherford, New Jersey weather? That's 72. Look, you can't expect the Bills to go play in weather above 55 degrees. It's not fair. It's not fair to the Bills. It's not fair for this country. The Buffalo Bills cannot be expected to go play football in nearly tropical weather. That's not fair. So all the Bears fans who are upset with the refs today, why don't we talk about the real crime, all right? Having the Bills play in 70-degree weather? Oh, I want to clutch my pearls over that. That is just absolutely, that's astonishing they allowed that to happen. How could they? Unbelievable. Well, oh well. Tough Nuggets. I'm sure we'll hear them crying in the comments. But as for the Dolphins, look, they get the win today, 35-32. And, for this situation, getting this win over Chicago, who is reeling a little bit, and they gave up, they seemingly gave up their two best defenders over the last couple of weeks. You're a better team than them. But it is going and getting back-to-back wins out on the road. And I do think that is, it's not easy in the NFL to go do that. That crowd was certainly electric on those last couple of plays, especially with Mike McDaniel showing some stones to go for it on fourth down. I think a lot of Dolphin fans are, I think after Justin Fields missed his chip shot at the end of halftime, which was also some questionable clock management by Mike McDaniel, because they get this beautiful play to Tyreek Hill, which put him over 100 for the day. And you're like, oh, man, they're going to get the dagger touchdown here and then go and get the ball back. And they go into this awful run, and they just don't call timeout. And for the life of me, dude. And then so what ends up happening, they get 12-man on the field, so they do 10-second round. They have to call a timeout. Otherwise, there's only 15 seconds left. And I just, it is frustrating people. I think that, Mike McDaniel has this no panic sense of him at the end of these drives. We've seen this a couple of times where he will bleed the clock all the way to the bottom, which is a great thing, I guess, if you think in theory, because you don't want to give the team any time left. I just don't think anybody has the stones that he does. And sometimes, the grapefruits giveth, and sometimes the grapefruits taketh away. And I feel like in this case, Mike McDaniel, his balls were too big for the end of that half. There was no need for big balls there. Just take your time out. There's no need to bleed time all the way to get too cute. Sometimes we get too cute, and I think that's what happened there. But for the most part, look, this guy, if you talked about what you wanted in a coach to do with this offense, how could you not? Yeah, okay, maybe some of the game management stuff isn't perfect, but he has a philosophy. He always feels like he can get whatever on third down. And why wouldn't he? With what he has on the outside for Tua to throw to and Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. Why would you not think that? He's always going to think he can scheme up 7 yards, 8 yards, no matter what. And I just think that's what's become his philosophy. And yeah, it could burn him in some points. I think for the most part, what everybody likes is the fact that he always has the guts to go there and make these big plays happen. And for the run game today, look, man, I like what I saw from Jeff Wilson Jr. I thought that he had a nice day, debut with a touchdown, had 72 yards from scrimmage. Raheem Mostert, he got the opening touchdown for him. So your running backs were decently productive today in that they're setting everything up for the passing game. They are not the stars of this team. The stars of the team are the receivers and Tua Tagovailoa getting them the football, which he does at an elite clip and is doing really, really well. So the Dolphins, they get a good win today. Maybe got a little help from the referees. Go cry about it in your deep dish pizza, dude. I don't know what to tell you.